Hey, how are you doing, Dr. Bond? 1 second, let me connect my audio.
No, that was me. I was actually talking on mute. As many times as I'm on Zoom, I'm still talking on mute. I can't believe it.
I can hear you now. How are you?
Great, doing well.
Good.
Yeah, so Dr. Jackson, great, he's on with us as well. So Jordan, I just wanted to say a few words about you. And I'll sort of introduce you before we start the Q&A. So I was going to ask Dr. Jackson, but what's the name of the program that you're a graduate student in? Is that the
Teacher residency program. And I sent you the bio that you requested just a moment ago. It's in your email.
Okay, great. Let me pull
It was just a few sentences kind of describing who I am.
Okay, great. Perfect.
Hey, Dr. Jackson. I'm not sure if you can hear, but hello, how are you?
James has been logged on for a minute, so he might have walked away.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Your hair looks nice.
Thank you. It's a lot easier to control when you're in a controlled environment.
No, definitely. I understand that.
Okay. So Jordan, do you have the run of show?
I do, yes.
Okay, so that's pretty much the same. Notes. So yeah, the times are really approximate times. So I don't know if, yeah, they may run a little over or under, but
Yeah, I did some research on some of her work. She's a really insightful person. It's kind of cool to coordinate this.
oh yeah, really, just very much so. Just got an email from. Okay, Dr. January Vance just sent me an email. It's 2:50. They should start. They should be coming in shortly.
Have you ever had a chance to look at her podcast, the Speaker Global Goals Cast?
Claudius?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I did. But I don't know. I need to go back. I don't immediately recognize that. We worked together on some other issues, so I might have missed that.
Cool.
Jordan, is that Valparaiso, Chile? Is that how you pronounce that?
Mm-hmm. It's Valparaiso, but yeah, Valparaiso is totally fine too. There's an accent over the last I that I think I missed when I typed it, but it's Valparaiso.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where I was mostly based for my studies. I went to a Catholic school there.
Okay. The chair will be giving a brief welcome. I've got to read her bio as well. Did they send a file to Claudia? I don't know. Let me check.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Welcome, Dr. Norris. Thanks so much for taking time out to do this with us today.
Good afternoon. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you as well.
Dr. Norris, have you met Jordan Young, one of the graduate students in the Metropolitan Teachers Program?
I don't think we've met yet, Jordan.
No, it's my first year here. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Okay.
What do you teach or profess?
So I'm in curriculum and instruction, and I'm the department chair, and I teach a couple of courses.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'm in curriculum instruction for special education students, so I may be taking one of your classes.
Okay, okay. I don't think I'm teaching anything on the graduate courses this year, but definitely stop by my office and say hey when you're on campus.
Yeah, I would love to.
Mhm.
Where is your office located?
I'm located on the second floor in ASA.
Okay, yeah,
So the School of Ed building, I'm on the second floor. I'm in 203, like 203A or something like that.
perfect. Yeah, I have class in that building, so I'll definitely stop by.
Yeah, stop on in and say hey. Dr. Bond, are students coming?
Yes, yes. I just sent several emails out, starting an hour and in 45 minutes.
Okay.
And so I received emails from Dr. Caldera, Dr. Gia Lang, Dr. Quinn. Many of them will be coming. All of them have invited their students, some of
Okay.
overlapping body of students, but
Okay, good.
yeah, I have something called field experience credit. They have 8 hours, and so this
Okay.
counts hours toward that. So
Okay, okay.
yeah, let's see where we are. We're about 5 minutes in.
Hello, colleagues.
Hello,
Good
Dr. Jackson.
afternoon, Dr. Jackson.
I hope everybody's doing all right today.
Yes.
Jordan, how are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing good. I'm doing
All
good.
right.
Excited to be here.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, 5 sharp.
Thanks, Tania. Your travels must have worked out. Does everyone have a... Hi, how are you? Thanks for
I'm
joining us
well.
in your travels.
Yes, Tania is experiencing some
Okay.
connective issues, so I'm not sure she's able to join. However, I'll be
Okay.
here.
Perfect. Do you want to say a few words on behalf of the Ralph Bunche Center? Then I'll pass it over to Dr. Norris and then on to introducing the speaker.
Yes, give me 1 second. My computer, I can barely hear. So
Oh,
1 second.
okay.
1 second. Okay, can someone speak so I can make sure that I can hear someone?
Can you hear me? This is Helen.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, perfect.
Well, definitely just want to say thank you all for being here today. And we're very excited that we're able to co-sponsor this event and looking forward to the enriching conversations. I'm not sure what exactly Tania wanted me to say, but I know we're glad to be here and working on this event with you guys.
Okay, so pretty much you can say that after we get started. And feel free to, if you want to share your screen, when you just say, you know, your short welcome. But that's up to you, of course, but
Okay, sounds good. I think I should be able to, but if not, I'll probably just go through
okay.
audio. Okay.
I'm going to start taking off. Hi, Lizette. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Simon.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Is seated and carried items are stowed.
Hi.
Luckily, at this time, our
Hi, Tania.
Hi. Hello. How are you?
Good. Did you want to say a few words?
Welcome aboard
Akio was
American
on.
Airlines. Please
Oh.
place small carry-on items underneath the seat in front of you.
I have
Larger carry-on items should
Don't worry.
unwanted sounds behind me. Hello,
Absolutely.
everyone. I hope that this goes really well. Wishing you all the best. Greetings from the airplane.
then
Thank
keep it
you.
outside
Thank
to
you so much.
maximize.
Okay, it's 3 p.m. We still have people joining, but in respect of everyone's time, we will get started. I'd like to say thank you to you all and welcome, welcome, welcome. The screen is filling up with your wonderful faces. I specifically asked not for a webinar. I didn't want anyone hiding behind the webinar wall. We wanted to see you in live and have wonderful conversations. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you're joining us. We are happy to have you with us. This is Howard University, Dr. Helen Bond, Curriculum and Instruction. We are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month with our wonderful partners. In the room today, we have the Ralph Bunche International Center, which will say a few words of greeting. The director is in flight, so I know you don't want to hear airplane information in the back, so her assistant will be saying a few words of hello. Our other partners include We Are All Human and Hispanic Star, my friend and colleague and coworker in all things diversity, equity, and justice, Claudia Roman Edelman. I will formally introduce her. and our Department of Curriculum and Instruction in the School of Education, our chair, saying hello to her. She will give us a few words of greetings, and our wonderful students. Thank you very much, and faculty and others in the SDSN and wider communities. Welcome. We will get started today. I'll just give you a very brief overview of our agenda. We're going to have a welcome from the Ralph Bunche Center from Dr. Norris. Then I'll introduce our speaker. She will present. Please be thinking of your questions, students and audience. We will have 15 minutes for that. One of our graduate students from the teacher residency program, Jordan Young, will be helping facilitate our Q&A. We'll have approximately 15 minutes for that. With that, we're going to get started. I'm going to hand the baton to the representative from the Ralph Bunche Center to say a brief hello. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aisha. I'm a program coordinator at the Ralph Bunche Center. Can anyone see me? I know I'm experiencing a little. Is my camera on? Can folks see me?
No, we
No?
can hear your voice. Thank you.
Okay, just for the sake of time, just want to say thank you again for allowing us to join this call. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. We're very excited to be here today and looking forward to the enriching conversations. And yeah, I'll pass it over back to Helen.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to introduce our chair. Dr. Catherine Norris serves as the chair of the Department of Curriculum and Instruction at Howard University. She brings with her an extensive background in education. Dr. Norris served as professor of early childhood education at Westchester University of Pennsylvania, teaching in the undergraduate and graduate programs for the Department of Early and Middle Grades Education for over 14 years. At Westchester, she also served as assistant chair and interim associate dean for the College of Education. Dr. Norris was a principal investigator for a grant awarded by the Pennsylvania Department of Education that focused on diversifying the teacher pipeline through a multicultural dual enrollment program. Dr. Norris has a strong background in curriculum and program development with a strong emphasis on developing online courses. In 2020, she was awarded the Pennsylvania Charter of the National Association of Multicultural Education's Multicultural Leader of the Year Award for her leadership in multicultural issues in education. In 2021, Dr. Norris was awarded Westchester University's Campus Diversity Award. And in 2022, she received the Drum Major for Justice Award at Westchester University. Dr. Norris co-edited a textbook, Social Justice and Parent Partnerships in Multicultural Education Context, which was recognized by IGI as a critical core reference text. Her areas of research focus are diversity in education, multicultural children's literature, and creating home and school partnerships between diverse families, schools, and communities. Before joining higher education full-time, Dr. Norris taught for the Philadelphia Public School System for over 18 years. She received her bachelor's in early childhood education from Westchester University, her master's in reading from St. Joseph's University, and her doctorate in curriculum and instruction, language arts from Temple University. Let's give a round welcome for Dr. Norris. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. All of us this afternoon as we learn and engage. I wanted to take a quick minute and ask you as the audience, if you could think of one good thing that you can think of that happened this week. I like to start things off on a positive note. Just give us one good word, one good phrase in the chat as we get started. I wanted to thank you for joining us this afternoon as we celebrate National Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month. We know here at Howard University how critical it is for us to focus on our culture and our heritage and how important it is as it relates to everything that we do. As of 2020, in our last census, we know that here in the United States, over 62 million individuals identify as Hispanic and Latino in our country, making up over 20% of our country's population. Yet our Hispanic and our Latino family are still experiencing discrimination when it comes to things like language and culture and being able to freely express and be exactly who they are. So we know how critical it is for us to stand side by side in solidarity with them as they go through this journey. Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month celebrates our families and our communities. It celebrates the heritage, the culture, the language. It celebrates the contributions of Hispanic and Latino Americans here in the United States and also globally. I wanted to talk to you very briefly because I know this is a short program, but I wanted to tell you how the Department of Curriculum and Instruction engages with our Hispanic and our Latino community. One of the things that we do in our department, we recognize how important it is to acknowledge bilingual language learners and multilingual language learners. And often because of our location here in Washington, D.C., those bilingual and multilingual learners are typically from our Hispanic and our Latino community. In our elementary education program, we have developed coursework where students take an ELL, an English language learning course. We also spend a semester in a bilingual field placement. And in addition, we have international internships where we travel abroad. And in the past, it has been to Colombia and to Cuba, where we interact and have service learning experiences with Hispanic serving families, schools, and communities. This year, we're looking forward to, and I should say next year, because it'll be 2023, but we're looking forward to going back to Colombia, where our students, our seniors will have an opportunity to engage and to sit into classrooms to experience all that our Hispanic serving communities are doing in Colombia. So we're going to learn right along with them. And these learning experiences our future teachers will take with them as they go into the classroom to make sure that they are properly serving our Hispanic and Latino communities. Again, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to this content and this curriculum that we're doing today. And I look forward to learning so much more about what's going on and what we have to offer here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Norris. I'm going to introduce our speaker today, Claudia Roma Edelman. Claudia is an advocate for the inclusion, equity, and representation. Her mission is to use her voice to build bridges and to remind us that we are all human. She is a special advisor for the We Are All Human Foundation. She is also the co-host of Global Goals Cast, a podcast distributed by CBS News Digital, which highlights global progress through the stories of champions making a difference. Claudia is the editor-at-large of Thrive Global, and it was recently announced that she will step into the role of editor-in-chief of Thrive Hispanics prior to this. The Mexican-Swiss diplomat was seconded to the Executive Office of the Secretary General of the United Nations to lead communications and advocacy for the Sustainable Development Goals. Claudia is the former Chief of Advocacy of UNICEF. While living in Europe for 25 years, she successfully led public relations and brand and marketing for global organizations, including the World Economic Forum, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, and the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, TB, and malaria. A frequent public speaker on development and humanitarian affairs, Claudia holds degrees in communications, philosophy, and photography, as well as a master's of political communications from the London School of Economics. Claudia is married and has 2 children. She enjoys sports and speaks 6 languages. And I'd also like to say she is a colleague, a friend in the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network on our Diversity, Equity, and Justice Committee, SDSN, which Howard is a partner. So let's give a warm welcome and applause to Claudia Roma Edelman.
Oh, thank you so very much. Look, I mean, like this is what happens, right? Like you invite one Latina to speak and 2 of us show up. So I'm going to be sharing the stage with my colleague, Liz Zarate, but not without saying, first of all, how grateful we are. Liz and I and the entire team of World Human are deeply honored to be invited by your institution, such an iconic institution in America and the world, to be able to celebrate together intersectionality, together the Hispanic Heritage Month. So I want to start by a deep appreciation and saying, like, thank you so much, and what a great colleague and a friend you are, Helen. like and expanding not only the work that we're doing in SDSN USA and like mobilizing towards the Sustainable Development Goals together, but also, like moving the diversity and inclusion agenda within that. So if you permit, I would like to see if you allow me. I think that Tony was trying to give me access to presenting slides that I cannot do, and I would like, yep, if that would be possible. Yep, now it's possible. That's great. Thank you so much. So let me see. Let me know whenever you see the slides that I want to present. Here they are. Can someone give me a yes? We see them.
I don't see this.
Perfect. Catherine is already there. It's actually not coming yet. 1 second. There you go. Oh, wait. Okay. So let's try that again. This is it. And here we are. This Hispanic Heritage Month, we're celebrating what we think is the beginning of a Hispanic breakthrough. And I think that this is really exciting for us because it is following, like pretty much an incredible revolution that has happened with diversity and inclusion, pretty much started with George Floyd, and continues to open the door for other groups to be able to actually mobilize and get more on the table. So we're excited about what's here to happen, and we think that all the conditions are given to succeed. And what does success look like? Well, I think that success for us looks like every Latino being able to be seen, heard, and valued, and with an equal opportunity to progress. And we think honestly that that's a great thing because Hispanic progress is part of American progress. So it should be of interest of everybody that we're able to move. And not only that, but that is really the one thing that unifies all Latinos. I'm sure that you probably have heard how big the community is, how fragmented we are, how big we are, how like how diverse we are. Well, there's one thing that unites us, and it's not language, and it's not country of origin, and it's not religion or political affiliation. What really unifies all Latinos is our desire to move towards the American dream. And if you start looking at the data one way, you see the differences, and we're so mega, absolutely, Kathleen, creative about finding our differences. Your bachata is different than my salsa. Your ceviche has more lemon than my ceviche. Your country doesn't have the same music as my country. We're so absolutely creative when we really should be focusing on, like all of us are moving in the same direction. And that direction is our desire to progress. And so what we really all want is to progress. The problem is that the higher we go, the lonelier it gets. The higher we go in that search for the American dream, the lesser the community support we have. And so therefore the roadmap is called Latino Unity and Latino Pride for Latino Progress. And again, that's a great thing because Hispanic progress is part of American progress. So I just wanted to start, like this celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month with a little bit of a level set and a quick breakdown. I get a lot of questions like, what do you use? Hispanic, Latino, Latinx? What do they mean? What do they care? What do they come from? So Hispanic comes from Spain or the language Español. Latino refers to Latin America, including Brazil. And Latinx is a gender neutral form for Latino. In reality, is that only 3% of Latinos even know that those labels exist, and that labels are labels. So they can be distracting or confusing, and pretty much we use them, like indistinctively at the World Human Foundation because we don't want to be focused so much on the labels. We want to be focused by far more on the meaning that we give to things and the progress that we can make for the community. So just pretty much just like having a sense of, like the community. We're so very diverse, so crazily very diverse. So 26 different countries of origin, 21 of them Spanish speaking, and you put us as one, right? Like all of us are Latinos or Hispanics or Latinx. 1 in every 3 African American is a Latino, making 14.4 Latinos Afro-Latinos. 1 in every 4 Native American is a Hispanic. 22% of Latinos identify as LGBTQ. So pretty much you have us all in one. So we're like pretty much scrambled eggs with everything and anything. So intersectionality within, within the community is big. And so the diversity that we have pretty much should be taken as a pro, as a way, as a way in which we operate. And that That is actually also very consistent with the data of the census that indicates that Latinos were the people, were a lot of people. We're 62 million people or 65 million people, almost 20% of the population. And that is today, Helen, because tomorrow will be 30% of the population. Imagine by 2050, 1 in every 3 American will be Hispanic. Hello, hello, hola. Hello, hello, hola. We're a lot of the population growth. We're one of the most common interracial marriages in the country. We're very generous with our law. So we will keep going and growing, and we're the youngest of the cohort. So Latinos are 29 years old average. But I think that the most important data point on age that I would like to share with you, and that's new as well, that's a new data point, is the mode, meaning the most common age, and particularly for a university like yours. I think it's important to see the most common age of Latinos is 19 years old. The most common age of non-Latinos, Catherine, is 61. 1961. Those are 4 decades of pure growth, 4 decades of your students and your potential faculties and the generations that, need to be educated and need to be prepared so that we can perform, the duties and the work that America needs. And so we're critical to corporate America. We're a massive economic power, $2.8 trillion as the size of the economy. If we would be a standalone economy, we would be the 5th largest country in the world. And we're critical for any industry, and we're entrepreneurial. Latinas create 6 times faster than any other group in America, small businesses. So we're job creators, and we're the workforce growth of the future. We're the voters and the taxpayers, and and there's so much stereotyping and biases against Latinos, and you understand exactly what I'm saying. But the data is very different to the stereotypes, right? Like, people are like, oh, Latinos don't speak English. 80% of our population speaks English. We're every time more in STEM. We're every time more finishing high school. It is very important for us to get prepared and get the opportunities to get prepared because we're so many, so young, so vital for the economy. But hey, watch out. If we're so young, we really need to make sure that we're really prepared, because that actually will help America's growth, and Hispanics are going to be at the heart of America's progress for the next decade simply by the numbers. So I hope I made the case about why Latinos data, Latinos data is indicating how much we're related to the progress of America. But let me tell you what we need to progress, what Latinos really need to progress. I think that is based on what we learned from other communities, and other communities have been very, very useful as examples for us. So we need a master plan. We don't have a master plan as a community, and as Napoleon said, you can't win a war if you don't have a plan. So we need to actually agree on a plan, become by far more unified and support each other, have the pride, mobilize allies. In this case, we're very focused in mobilizing corporate America, and have frameworks and brands that help us move forward. And this is where I wanted to stop for a bit, just to say, we started, and the work that I do with Helen at the SDSN has been so instrumental for creating that master plan. So we took the Sustainable Development Goals, the global goals, and we paired them, or we looked at them through the Latino lens to see how are Latinos doing within the global goals for America. And we started seeing that our priorities, the priorities of Latinos, are better health, better education, better gender, and better jobs. And for many people, that has been a unifying framework. And it's been bringing corporations and foundations and even the government to focus more on this community, on these areas, because actually it's going to help. So we're really trying to put what we call the Hispanic Sustainable Development Goals as a way to incentivize a shared goal, a shared set of dreams, an agenda. And I think that SDSN has given us the methodology to start looking at these areas, to start looking at, a common framework that can help Latinos that have been very fragmented, and no, that's my corner, this is my little shop, this is my little shop, so that we can all have a single framework of action that can help us unify and move forward. The reality is that we don't have a lot of data about Hispanics, the Hispanic performance within the global goals. So there's a lot of areas in which we're gray and we don't really know where we are, and that's a call to action. But the reality is that those areas where we know where we are, we need to address: better health, better education, better gender, better jobs. And like pretty much, if we would be, like if you're looking at the progress of America towards the global goals, Latinos are really not performing as fast. And we keep on doing this analysis in a way to allow for companies to avoid the double reporting on global goals, or ESGs, and diversity and inclusion. And that's a work that we're very happy to, to see how it's working. But in reality, Latinos, we need to be more unified in purpose. And that's where the African American community has been such an incredible example for us, having a shared goal, having the goal of actually, unifying for our perception and representation. We have to move from the fragmented mentality and, finding our differences, to see how can we actually help each other, support each other, mentor each other, buy from each other. And I hope that you understand the incredible role of allies and intersectionality in all of this, so that we can actually see and be part of efforts that actually are pushing each other and learning each other. And we have to be more structured the way that we're seeing from other communities. And that ideally will lead us to have more pride. And I think that that's where I wanted to share how the trend for Latinidad is happening at the young levels. So more and more Latinos my age used to hide their Latinidad. Like if you're Jorge, you pretend to be George. But if you're in the university, you're like, my name is Jorge, and I'm gonna take my Latinidad because I want to be able to be all of myself, all American, all Latino, all African American, like all of the selves that we have. And that's pushing actually a movement from fear to pride. That's why I think that this Hispanic Heritage Month, it is fantastic. It is fantastic to have a moment to reflect on the history. Latinos were the first colony that came to America, and not the British, it was the Latinos. And we don't know that. And people don't teach that in schools. We invented a lot of the very American of symbols, like the saddle for the Western cowboy, or like large scale ranching. We brought to the country agriculture. We should feel proud about that. We should be proud that we've been making it in business since the 16th century, invented business delivery services like UPS or FedEx, in politics, in the war, in sports. We've been making it. And, like this Hispanic Heritage Month theme called Unidos, Inclusivity for a Stronger Nation. It's great. It's the first time that I see that we're not portrayed as victims, as servants, as something that, like, yeah, Latino serving the nation. No. We are players. We are, and we have to unify. We have to be unidos for sure. But, like that colorism that is within our community, we have to be more inclusive so that we can build a stronger nation. And I'm so very proud that our group was able to help in the, in the forming of that theme for this presidential Hispanic Heritage Month theme. So you saw it. You saw the data. We're powerful. You saw the history. We've been making it for 16 years. Since the 16th century. The problem is that we're not portrayed like that for the, like by the media. We have a perception crisis. We have a massive crisis that we're portrayed as someone we are not. We're not in front of camera. We're not behind camera. When we are, we're portrayed as lazy or exotic lovers and illegal immigrants. And you know the story. You've been there, done that. Like it happens to all of us. The problem we have is we have a reverse marketing problem that has to be fixed, and we have to actually address it and be more respectful of the message that the census and the labor data is saying. The way to portray Hispanics is portraying us with two words: growth or progress. That's the narrative I want to see. And I think that this is why an invitation for all of your students and like alumni to become allies and helpers to do education campaigns, not activism, but factivism, because 77% of Latinos do not know anything that I just said. We don't know how many we are, how powerful we are. So the more that we can do to incentivize universities like yours to help us to portray the data, to share how many we are, how young we are, how positive we have been and are for the country, then the more we can advance creating a narrative that is, like positive and meaningful, respectful, and portraying Latinos in a relevant way. Because perception is related to representation in a massive way. We're doing our part as much as we can as an organization to change perception by going to the places where perception is created. We're creating books, children's books, social media content. This is the work that Liz, our chief marketing officer, is doing and what she's going to present. PR, media, and everything we can, because we know that perception matters for representation. And our representation is facing a crisis. We're 20% of the population, but only 1% in corporate boards, only 1% in politics, only 1% in senior positions. So that's why the Hispanic Star is our response, our market response, if you want, a symbol to unify us all, to create a platform to showcase that Latinos are positive contributors to the country, understanding that we took the flag from the American flag, the star from the American flag, the ñ or from Espanol or Portuguese, and we put it together so that we can, somewhat like the rainbow for the LGBTQ, so that we can have a symbol that people recognize that America is made of stars and we are one of them. And it's getting traction, and more companies are following, and we have instruments, and Latinos are getting excited about being part of the change. So as allies, I think that I want to stop by saying allies have an incredible role to, like being informed and shine a light in Latinos. Giving us this opportunity is being a great ally, is being curious and empathetic and speaking up and standing up for someone and sharing the mic with the way that you're doing with us. But I hope that all of us can realize, like that we can make a difference. And I hope that you can all get energized about being great allies and become activists with us, get energized, like for us to be able to access networks where we're not, and get mobilized and get action and, like get moving. So with this, Helen, if you permit, I would like to pass it on to my colleague and my friend Liz, that has a small presentation to make about Hispanic Heritage Month and how can Howard University maybe make use of this tool.
Thank you so much. I will be super quick. I know we are heading to the time for the questions. So as Claudia can everybody see my screen now? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So every year we made a toolkit for Hispanic Heritage Month. This toolkit addresses the issues that Claudia was mentioning before, like this lack of representation, this need for us to put the data out there to get more people talking about us and about our contributions to the country. So this is the 4th year that we do it. Right now we are about to close the month, but it was important for us to share with you these assets that we have out there, free to use, available for everyone just to download and share, and not only during Hispanic Heritage Month, but throughout the whole year. I'm going to show some how does it work and how you can access it. So the objective for us during Hispanic Heritage Month was setting the record straight that Hispanics are a pro for America, with all of the data that Claudia was presenting to you before. So we need to have to unify under one single narrative and under one single voice. We are speaking this year alongside with the national theme, and also we want to speak about how Hispanics can be the generation that breaks through barriers, through obstacles, through disparities, and also keep portraying that this idea that Hispanic progress is American progress and that Latinos are positive contributors to the country. So with this in mind, we created a set of data points of unifying assets. So I'm going to show a quick video of last year's Hispanic Heritage Month. This year, I can happily say that we have managed to have 3 times more the impact that we had last year, but this is just an idea of the ways in which we can activate these materials that we're putting out there. So this is a short video. Hope you enjoyed.
Liz, the sound is not coming through.
Let me see. Now?
I think that when you go out and put share screen, there's a button that says share sound.
Just a second. right now?
No. There you go. Yes.
I knew it was gonna happen. I just didn't know it was gonna happen so fast. And I've seen more than 100 companies that didn't celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month before celebrated this year. If you haven't done anything for Hispanic Heritage Month, do it. Celebrate Latinos and be proud. Latino unity, Latino pride. We're Hispanic stars ready to shine.
So we're gonna share with you the new video of this year, which it's been great, honestly. And I hope that also you can help us in amplify these last few days. So these are the ways in which we are putting out there as a way to activate for Hispanic Heritage Month. The first one is an internal activation celebrating internal Hispanic stars within your university, people you know. We have templates in our toolkit where you can shine a light and make a shout out to all of those Hispanic stars that are changing this country. Also external activations with some materials, promotional materials that you can use. And also we had during the month some activities. Actually, the last one that we have is the presentation of our book of Hispanic Stars Rising, which portrays 90 stories of Hispanic stars in the US. This is the third volume we do. We have also some children's book. We had an opening ceremony that you can find in our website and use as a resource, like a place to go to when you want to find some data and some messaging around the month. We will happily share that with you as well. So moving now to the toolkit, which this is also a short video, but before I'm going to do a short overview. So the objective of the toolkit is to equip all of us with materials, data, infographics, sets of information that can help us in this objective of changing perception and talking about the contributions. We have three main areas of the toolkit. The first one is a unifying messaging framework. The second one, a unifying set of data with some of the most reputable sources about Hispanics, and also unifying branding and communications assets. So in this video, you're gonna see how you can access the toolkit, which is in hispanicstar.org/toolkit, and you'll see how you can download everything. And with this, I think we will be ready to go. The time for Latinos is now. Let's unite forces for Hispanic Heritage Month and set the record straight that Latinos are positive contributors to the country and the growth engine of America. Hispanic progress is American progress. The Hispanic Star Toolkit has everything you need to activate during Hispanic Heritage Month in one single place. We have prepared assets and materials ready for you to use. A unifying messaging framework to unify under one single voice. This includes key messages, narrative and talking points, templates for internal and external communications,
ready-to-go presentations about the power of US Hispanics, and more. It also contains unifying datasets to spread the word about the power of Hispanics. This includes A to Z facts and figures from the most reputable sources about demographics, behavior, and sentiment of Latinos in the US, as well as did you knows and infographics. Lastly, this toolkit contains unifying brand and communication assets with application examples to equip yourself. Web banners, display ads, online video, radio scripts, out-of-home, print materials, and more. Navigate Hispanic Heritage Month with confidence, and let's elevate together the narrative of our community. Let's set the record straight that Hispanics are a pro for America. Download and use our toolkit at hispanicstar.org/toolkit.
So I'm going to leave it out there. These are some of the companies that are activating with us so far. And yeah, I mean, the resources are available again for you to use as you see fit, and get inspired, no, by all of the data that we have out there to share with your communities and with your networks.
And if I may just like say thank you to Liz and her incredible, the work of her incredible team. More than 15,000 downloads for our toolkit. The reason why we were so excited about being able to present to you is because it can send an incredible message to the country of intersectionality and support. And so if there's anything that you can do or you want to do in your social media, even a simple message using Hispanic Star and portraying Latinos as positive contributors to the country, if the toolkit is useful, it would really I think that for us, it would really send a strong signal. A strong signal of support of unity among communities.
Thank you so much, Claudia and Lizette, for that. Really wonderful messages. Something that really rang out to me was together we win. And so it's a very strong message. Some of you may have seen some of those. I did download some of those things even for our campaign to prepare for this. So thank you for that.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you.
Those messages, guidelines for branding, just wonderful. We really do appreciate that. So now we come to our part of our program. I always like a live session where students can raise their hand and speak. Please think about your questions. I'm going to introduce Jordan Young in just a moment. So please be thinking about putting your questions in chat. You can also signify to raise your hand and Jordan will call on you. So let me introduce next, we have a student that has done a lot of work in this area and other areas that's going to moderate and serve a bit of as a discussant. Getting his file pulled up now. Jordan Young is a graduate student in special education at Howard University, focusing on arts therapy. He's moved to DC by way of St. Petersburg, Florida, where he created a poetry, film, printmaking, spirituality, East Asian philosophy, and interdisciplinary major at Eckerd College. He's on a journey to understand how history, language, culture, emotion, identity, religion, and visual aesthetics can convey a moment felt as spiritual or surreal. His work has taken him to Valparaiso, Chile, Peru, London, Paris, Belize, and several states in the US. He's studying at Howard in hopes of understanding how to bring his passion for creative arts and mental health to students in the form of trauma-informed art therapy. So let's give a warm welcome to Jordan.
I appreciate you, Dr. Bond. And also thank you so much for such an energetic and informative presentation from both of you. I guess I'll start off with a question of my own while we wait for other people to think of questions. I see a few hands. But one question that I had was that you all have this narrative of beginning of an Hispanic breakthrough, which I think is powerful and poignant. But I'm curious what moments make this such a pivotal time for Latin American people, Hispanic American, and Latinx people.
Jordan, thank you so much. I can just like talk about how, you know, we've never been stronger. We've never been more ready for the change that's coming. And that is pure data driven, you know, like information. I think that what we realize and what we speak about is that we are the transition generation or the breakthrough generation, because our ancestors, our parents, and like mothers and grandmothers have done all the hard work. You see, like we have it easy compared to, like we have one job, just to finish the job, for every Latino to be seen, heard, and valued, because it is our mothers and ancestors that came with bleeding hands of doing 2 to 3 jobs to be paid one, so that we can go to college, so that we can have a senior position in an organization. So I think it is the work of our ancestors that so far has brought us to where we are, with the social context that is happening right now. There's absolutely no question in my mind. When I set up the organization World Human 5 years ago, it's because I saw the data coming so rapidly about like young people willing to be more tolerant and willing to move the world from tolerance to acceptance, and where we are all human and we have to be reminded, and technology, like in a way was somehow algorithms, because of the business models are putting you in little bubbles, if you want, and feeding you with things that you agree with people that look like you, like, and so on. So you're every time more at risk of having a sense of the otherness, like creation of the sense of anotherness. When you go out of the bubble and all of a sudden someone looks different than you're like, who are you? Why do you think so differently? And like, this is so scary. And I think that for us Latinos, we're benefiting from the cultural collective like consciousness that is happening, with young people pushing it, with George Floyd being like the opening door for racial justice, revolution that is going to start trickling down and benefiting others. And at the same time, we are by far more prepared, and by far more people, and by far more like, I think that ready.
I appreciate that, especially the idea of walking in the footsteps of your ancestors and continuing what they started. That's powerful. Would you like to add anything on, Ms. Liz? If not, we have a question in the chat from Dr. Jackson. His question states, in 2018, the Office of Special Education Program reported that 27.18% of Latino children receive special education services. Does this figure indicate that Hispanics are more accepting of persons with disabilities and make efforts to advance the idea of inclusion? And I believe that is open for either one of you.
So it would be a shocking, like it would be a shocking number, because Latinos have a problem as a fact of accessing services. We're 1% of clinical trials, we're 1%, like of accessing services that are available, that are free and open to all, because we don't have, in many instances, either the language, like the language, we have the language barrier, or we're scared because we don't know people that are, like working on those areas, and we don't have, we don't have targeted campaigns coming to our, in our way. I think that number is a little high or higher than what I know, but what I do know is that special needs come from a lack of navigation. Like in some instances, what is the reality of Latinos is we don't know how to navigate systems, and it is really hard for mothers, like for mothers that have language barriers, or like don't have the education degree to be able to like support their children in schools and so on. So there's the inequality barriers and inequity barriers that are coming along, and maybe this is a better way, or a way in which we're able to compensate for, like as mothers, I would say, or as parents, for the needs of our children. It is there are really dramatic and very scary, I think, that gaps when it comes to education for Latinos, the way that you see for the African American community as well. This is a crisis. We have to invest in education for our communities, and that's it. And I think that that's where the calling is, and I hope that like that number comes from. I'm going to investigate more, but I hope that number comes from the need of fulfill some of the gaps that we might not have in just traditional education.
No, I believe that's a very powerful answer, and I appreciate your insight on that. And we have another question coming from Dr. Michelle Sayros, and she asks, are you finding frenemies in this space in that they are trying to cash in on this movement as opposed to those who have been doing this work when it was less popular or accepted?
Yeah, that is actually, like Dr. Michelle, I think that we should go for coffee or something. That has been very painful for me to see, the sort of like appropriation of like of white people taking the role of Hispanic agencies, creative agencies, and just like putting it on paper and using it when there's like Hispanic marketing agencies that have been on the space for decades. And and because we're so fragmented, I feel alone in calling out for those corporations that are doing that, because we have that, and you understand what I'm saying. I mean, like, we have that risk of losing the contracts we have and the support we have. That is really ill and wrong and sickening. And I see that increasingly because people are smelling the coffee and going for the opportunity. And I actually, that's one area that I started thinking we should collaborate in. There's one or two things that I think that are like, we would be like benefit for us joining forces, and that's one of them. And it's just painful, and it's frustrating, and I think that we should be enraged together.
And if I can add something in there, I mean, I think that's the reason that we are doing what we're doing. That's why unification is so hard and so important, because it's like getting all together under one single objective rather than just every one of us working for our own single individual objectives, no? So that's been the real challenge. That is still the real challenge. But I mean, that's why we're here, no? Like to unify and join efforts.
Thank you both for those answers. I definitely agree. And we have another question from Winslow Jones, who asks, how important do you think it is for kids and teachers to learn Spanish to help with language barriers or overcoming those barriers?
I actually, I'm just gonna speak database. I have no strong opinion about this. I think that language is very important because it connects you to roots and it actually enhances the brain. In a way, I'm like, yeah, it is better to have a brain that is bilingual because it activates more associations. But the reality is that for Latinos, language is a barrier to certain, to some degree. The most important piece, I think, that for teachers is to know more, like get more information and to teach it properly. And I don't think that we're equipping our teachers at any level, with facts on pride on, on the contributions of Latinos to the country. If I look at my own children, when they were in primary school, the teacher was struggling to see, what do I do for Hispanic Heritage Month? I draw Frida Kahlo, things that are like, you're leaving to the imagination of people that have very heavy jobs to start figuring out how to portray different communities and to be respectful, and do I use Latino, Hispanic, Latinx, and all these kind of things. So I think that language is one important element, not the most important element. We just launched, our children's series books, and we did it bilingual. I wonder how that's gonna go. I think that the most important piece is that we're doing books that talk about Roberto Clemente as a hero of people, as Celia Cruz as the reina of the salsa, right? Of role models. And it's also important that it is on language, but I don't think it is as important. And so we're gonna do whatever, just to go on Lisa's thing. One of the things we want to do is make sure that we provide the tools for teachers at every level so that they know they are equipped, because I really believe that everybody wants to do the right thing, but we're just super busy doing everything we need to do. So if you provide it to us, if you make change possible and things simple, I think that it's easier for all of us to do it.
Thank you, especially the idea of providing tangible toolkits for people to be able to pass on resources, information, increase the access. I think that's really, really important. And Liz, would you like to add anything on?
No, I mean, I agree in the sense that I do think it's an important area, but not the most important one. Also, Spanish, not to less importance. Also, I do think that language is different depending on the generation you're on. Like maybe it's harder for generations that are here, and maybe the younger ones don't speak Spanish as their parents. So it's just a different way you experience that situation, no? So I agree with everything else that Claudia said.
And just like to put on numbers, 80% of Latinos, 80% of the 62 or 65 million Latinos that are registered citizens, blah, 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 all of those, 80% speak English. As a fact, 30% do not speak Spanish. That's a little like, quotation mark there. Yeah, that like it is an age group, and that's the data. And I see another, but I do think that language is important as a tool to remind us of pride. I think that that's where, like if you're trying to, mijo, don't show that you're Latino, don't speak Spanish. Like if that's the way, then it's actually something that we should incentivize. And let's not forget that a lot of children do not speak, like particularly migrants, like do not speak English, or newcomers, more than anything, newcomers to the country do not speak English, and that is a real barrier. And if you're a teacher, like in the Bronx in New York, you might be facing a classroom that has those barriers, and it is very challenging if you're not equipped and if you don't speak the language. It is very challenging for everybody, and and I think that that's where you start seeing equity and gaps starting to widen.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely feel in my experience of learning Spanish, you are allowed to sort of access the history and the soul of a culture through works of art and through works of literature and poetry that otherwise you'd necessarily have access to at all. And I think that's really powerful. And we have another question from Miss Lynn. She asks, do you have any suggestions about culturally responsive teaching for teachers from non-Hispanic backgrounds when they teach Hispanic kids?
It is the same barrier. I do think that technology is helpful in these spaces. I mean, my children did not speak a word of English when I moved to America 8 years ago. And granted, I have a lot of, like I have the privilege to have a lot of tools and access, but they learn mostly from Google Translate, Duolingo, like cartoons and video games and stuff that was by far faster than any English class itself. So I do think that there's an area there to understand, looking at, like digital divide, like the digital gap, the language gap, and the education gap. But I do think that technology can be an area. So I 100% would look at, like what resources are available for teachers that do have those, like those situations, and start looking. Nowadays, there's so much innovation happening in the translation and teaching a language space, and it is fascinating. And I think that it's very open. And again, I think that there's access to services that Latinos are not using. So that's an absolute area of consideration. But I hope actually that Lisa and I can incorporate these questions. It's very good actually for us to be thinking of that, so that we can put resources and tools, like that can guide teachers at ease on what are those resources, so that you don't have to do research on your own. So we can put it on our website and it's there for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. Thank you. And we also had a question from a student earlier, Mari Gaden. You had your hand raised.
No, they answered it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And do we have any other questions in the chat? I was asked by Catherine Norris if you could share the toolkit here in the chat. Just a link to it would be great.
Can I ask Jordan, Helen, Catherine, Dr. Michelle, and anyone, like, what are the, like, what is the goal? What would you like to see? I think that when it comes to, like groups working together, or for university to better equipped, and what would be, like great ways to collaborate. And I think that on behalf, again, of Liz, myself, and the entire World Human Foundation, we're deeply honored to have had the opportunity to share with you. We feel welcome, and we feel that there's a solidarity and intersectionality. And so we take this as a sign of love, and we want to give you the love back. But I would love to ask, what would you like to see in the future, like for your organization and working with organizations like ours?
Yeah, thank you. So I think this is a prime example of one way that we could work together, just coming together for programming and for different activities, sharing resources the way you're doing right now. I think that's really critical. One of the things that I worked on last week for the last month was a grant. And the grant was talking about recruiting and retaining and creating programming for bilingual teacher educators. So trying to recruit more Latino, Latinx students into our program who will be ready to go into the field and to teach. So I think with Dr. Bond's connection, we can continue to think about programming that we're doing. If this grant is funded, there will be a lot of opportunities for us to work together in that area.
May I also suggest something as well? And I don't know what happened to my camera, but as an educator of special education, I'd like to be able to talk to parents about what their particular needs are relative to the needs of their children. So if you could create a session around where we can have some access to parents, I would really appreciate that.
That sounds doable and great.
I wanted to add a comment, Claudia, Lizette, and an audience that I thought was really interesting that you could maybe share with us. It's good to know. I received information from the U.S. Census Bureau, and just yesterday, they do stats for stories. And one of their wonderful stories was that in the Hispanic community, that more families sit around the dinner table and have dinner together more so than any other culture in the United States. And they described really how an important aspect that is to families, and that the Latino family, Hispanic communities did that more so than any other. Can you give us any insight on why that is and how that message can be spread?
I love that. I haven't read that, and I will. Thank you so much for sharing. Hispanic values are American values, but we're very deeply entrenched in our values, as you are all, right? Like our communities are. We're hardworking, we're ambitious, we're optimistic. We believe more in the American dream than we're like, yeah, our future generations are gonna be better than us, and of course they are better than us because we look at our parents and they were fried and we're getting better, so we want to keep it going. But the thing that is the social tissue of Latinos is our desire, like our deep connection to families and friends. And so that's why we over-index in everything that is related to social media, social connections. We over-index in Twitter, in YouTube, and so on, because we can't stop sharing with our family. Oh my God, look at this video. And so we are really deeply rooted in that. And I think that it comes from, it comes from the family values that come from Latin America, regardless of how many generations you have been in the country. There's a strong sense of, of value and motherhood and connections. We deeply appreciate connections. And I know that we are at time, but I just wanted to add one thing in the wish list, if you want, of what we could do. We have our Hispanic Leadership Summit at the end of the year. It is the place in which we bring the most important leaders of the country to look at our shared agenda. And then we start planning the year so that we can activate together. I think that for us, Hispanic Heritage Month will always be a place that we want to elevate the voices. So if we can start planning already now for next year, so we can even, you help us identify other groups or communities and whatever we can do. And if we can have one or two representatives of your school coming to our Hispanic Leadership Summit at the United Nations, I think that it would send a strong message, and we would love to hear as well your opinion.
Thank you very much. That's a wonderful way to end. And I would like to end on the note, together we're better, together we win. thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom. And I love the term factivism someone put into the chat. So thank you to our speakers, our moderator, and all the faculty that are here. Faculty, just wave your hands. Dr. Gia Lynn, Dr. Norris, Dr. Jackson, there may be others. Thank you so much, and everyone have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
Students,
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
Great
Bond.
job, Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tania.